started. We're going to go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it is official. The Compatible with Life 5K is underway, everybody.
Awesome. So if that was Shelby, if you didn't realize, my name is Allison. I will be one of your hosts, and we also have
Chelsea. I am Stella's mom and the founder of the Stella Effect. So happy to be here.
we will be both Chelsea and I will be going into more of our own stories and the stories of our daughters, Stella and Charlotte, as we go through. But to remind you today, we are racing and running for and walking for raising awareness for trisomy 13 and 18 and to raise funds for the Stella Effect. The Stella Effect is a nonprofit organization that supports families who have a child with trisomy 18 or 13 through celebration, advocacy, and community. Their mission is to help families celebrate their babies through every beautiful and hard moment and to fight alongside them so they never have to fight alone. Many of the families are first introduced to their baby's diagnosis as incompatible with life. And while this diagnosis is, in fact, life limiting, these babies are compatible with life and worthy of celebration. And that's exactly what we are here today to do. Thank you for joining to raise awareness and support the Cell Effect in their mission to support these families. Today, we're going to have some fun. We'll do some prizes and engagement for all of that as well. But we're also going to get serious about some of the issues that many of our families face and talk really about why this awareness and advocacy are so important. Before we get into all of that, though, just a few housekeeping things. A recording of today's run will be available to all participants. I will send that out via email either later today or tomorrow, depending on how long all that takes on the tech end. If you leave early or you just want to relive the fun, you can do this. You can run it, listen to it as many times as you want. And we are also doing prizes, Amazon gift cards for top male and female finishers. And we'll keep that field open actually through tomorrow at 5 p.m. I haven't had a chance to run yet myself. The link to submit your times will be in the email that I send either later today or tomorrow. So watch out for that. And we'll announce all the prizes for those via email as well. If you finish the 5K before the end of the live event, please stick around. We're going to have fun, do more prize giveaways, and really dig into the education and celebration piece for our families. Um, and let's have Chelsea introduce our first clip.
Yeah, so in the past, this is the part of the race where I've shared information and stats about trisomy 13 and 18. But this year, we have the privilege of learning from the one and only Dr. John Carey. Dr. Carey is a pediatrician and geneticist and a founding member and current chair for the Medical and Scientific Advisory Board at SOFT, which is a support organization for trisomy. He's a bit of a celebrity in the world of trisomy 13 and 18.
Greetings. This is Dr. John Carey from Utah, the birthplace of the support organization of trisomy 18, 13, and related disorders. I am a pediatrician and a medical geneticist on faculty at the University of Utah School of Medicine in Salt Lake City. Currently, I am emeritus or retired, but still working. As you may know, I helped Ms. Chris Holliday, mother of Carrie, who had trisomy 18, found SOFT in 1979 and 1980. At that time, I was the geneticist caring for Chris's daughter, Carrie, who was 2 years old at the time. I have had the privilege and honor of attending every SOFT conference since the inaugural one in 1987, which was held in Salt Lake City. Needless to say, the experience of attending these meetings and connecting with so many families has changed my professional and even my personal life. These experiences molded my current view of caring for children and all persons with the trisomy 13 and trisomy 18 syndromes. I currently serve as the chair of the Medical and Scientific Advisory Board for SOFT and as the founding professional on their board of directors. Let me say that the last 8 years stand as a landmark in the care and medical management of children with the trisomy 13 and trisomy 18 conditions. I believe that we will recognize this particular time as an important era in 10 years and after. And the reason for this is because the narrative regarding care and management of individuals with these syndromes is shifting, is evolving, is changing. But we have a ways to go. We have things to do, especially in regards to education of my colleagues in perinatal medicine and other specialties. So what is the narrative we aspire to change? I suspect that many of you listening know about this account, this narrative. It includes referring to trisomy 13 and trisomy 18 as lethal, as incompatible with life, or as deadly, terms of course that we want to remove from the vocabulary surrounding the conditions. It includes treating a child or an adult based on the diagnosis, that is the stated prognosis of trisomy 13 and 18, as opposed to treating the person based on the individual problems or challenges, like we do with any child with medically complex conditions. Now, why is this idea arrived as an idea whose time has come? It is because of 3 groups of studies that have been published in the medical literature in the last 8 years. 2016 was a year in which 2 studies appeared that both showed in different parts of North America, the US and Canada, that survival to 1 month and survival to 1 year had improved compared to the 10 or so studies published decades before. This was thought to be due to other studies that had shown in previous years increased hospitalizations and increased surgeries of many types in children with the 2 syndromes. In 2017 and 2018, a second group of publications were in the medical literature. These were 4 studies involving heart surgery in children with trisomy 13 and trisomy 18. These are important at the time because of the relatively larger number of kids that were actually in the investigations compared to what was present in the years before. In these studies, 80 to 90% of children with trisomy 13 and 18 who had heart surgery went home from the hospital and lived longer than those who hadn't had surgery. The third group of studies were 2 papers that were published just in the last 2 years. One was from Japan and one was from Cincinnati, Ohio, where all the children born with trisomy 13 and 18 in the metropolitan area of Cincinnati were followed. Basically, these papers and their data showed that children who received intensive intervention in their care, including surgery, survived longer than those who had not had such care. The survival in these studies was 35 to 50% of children living past their first birthday. This is not to say that every child with trisomy 13 and 18 needs or should have intensive care or cardiac surgery. As we know, these conditions are medically serious and medically complex, and the children and their families who experience them have known challenges. In some children, the heart condition or another birth defect is just not treatable, even with current technologies. But the point is that the information surrounding the possibilities of intervention should be what I call the ABCs of this experience: accurate, balanced, and current, period. Options of care on both sides should be presented in a balanced, non-biased manner. So we have work to do. We do need to educate all of the medical practitioners involved at these touch points about these new data. We should make sure, when we can, that the information is current and accurate. And we should help promote an approach that is called now in medicine shared decision making. That is, the parents and the medical and healthcare professionals work together in coming up with the decision for or not for care in the best possible way. I appreciate this opportunity to
Hope
have
for our
summarized
community in a
some of
way that is
my most
sometimes
recent
really hard to
thoughts
feel.
on
When
this
we experience
idea, this
discrimination and
notion
difficulties in
that
receiving the
we call
care and
changing the
dignity our
narrative.
children deserve, it can sometimes feel disheartening over and over again. Dr. Carey has seen all of this firsthand, and for him to say that we are in an important era currently is pretty incredible. In 10 years from now, we'll look back to right now and see all of the change that happened and all the difference that has been made. As Dr. Carey said, we have a ways to go, we have things to do. We are so grateful to Dr. Carey and the team at SOFT and all that they have done and will continue to do in leading the way on research and creating change within the medical community for trisomy 13 and 18 community. Thank you. And now we get to hear from Mary Willard, which is Rose's mom, who is a strong and fearless advocate for trisomy 13 and 18. Mary has lived firsthand what the research supports that Dr. Carey just mentioned. So let's take a listen.
Hello, my name is Mary. Our 6-year-old daughter Rose has a diagnosis of full trisomy 18. Rose was diagnosed early, about 12 weeks gestation. We were told there was a good chance she had full trisomy 18. This was confirmed later by more testing. In Rose's early care, there was a big void. I had specialty care, I had many appointments and scans and tests. However, no one discussed what specific interventions or things would be needed for Rosie to survive. We were given this vague kind of gamble. She could live, she could die. If she lives, we'll follow her lead, which I found kind of confusing and bizarre. As I discovered that children were living with rare trisomy, I wanted to learn more. I talked to parents. I joined SOFT. SOFT stands for Support Organization for Trisomy. I listened to talks by Dr. Carey, a geneticist who shared rare trisomy children do live. There are many children that live. There's interventions and services needed, but children can live. And from there, I wanted to figure out how to build a team, and access to what Rose would need. It wasn't easy. Rose was born and she was given full care. She was transferred to a heart unit at the local children's hospital, and I thought we had secured all the fair care we needed. However, when she was 4 weeks old, her care began to shift. We went from full fair care, talking to our surgeon frequently, to palliative, to hospice, to comfort very quickly. The anatomy of her heart was changing, and at that time, the teams changed their mind, and a decision was put in her chart, in quotes, in the setting of trisomy 18, further heart intervention denied. We were then encouraged to get off the heart unit and start to transition to our goodbyes with Rose. We did not align with this, and so we began consulting to find care where we could get Rose her heart repair she needed. Dr. Hamill accepted Rose, and we were able to transfer from California to Omaha, Nebraska when Rose was 6 weeks old. At 6 weeks old, she arrived in Omaha. We flew separate. And when I got to her, she was surrounded by teams, and they were critically talking and planning and looking to the next best intervention for Rose. It was phenomenal to have people innovatively looking at her situation and looking to her as an individual, but looking to the challenges that T18 would arise, maybe for their team, also for her, and problem solve. It was the best, and I wish everybody could find care like that. When they were done talking, Dr. Hamill talked to me a little bit, and then he announced to the room, we operate Monday. So here we went from there's nothing we can do to there's nothing we want to do to we disagree with you, we won't do it, to we operate Monday. So Rosie did wonderful with repair. She flew home commercial with my husband and I at 12 weeks old. Today she's a happy, thriving, beautiful 6-year-old. We just hope that this void that is there for full innovative care for T18 can be filled with resources and specialists and access to care. That is our hope. For the people that want full innovative care and access to it and a team they can trust to make life and death decisions with, we hope that the narrative can change. And we want to thank Stella's Effect for having that passion too, and for helping lead the way in that as well. We need people to speak out for our children and show the beautiful life of trisomy 18 and 13 and all rare trisomy. Thank you.
Man, Rose's story is so powerful. Thank you so much, Mary, for sharing her with the world. You are always doing such an amazing job at putting her story out there so we can all hear it. What a blessing that Mary and her husband were able to find Rose that innovative care that she needed through Dr. Hamill and his team. It's really a testament to how hard our families have to work to receive equal care that any other child would receive. And now she's 7 years old and thriving. I would like to share a short story about how important and potent Rose's story is and how it really intertwines with my daughter Stella and Stella's story. Rose has been a recipient of 2 of our programs with the Stella Effect, and we'll hear more about those experiences later on in the race. But I want to share about a moment I had with Mary and her daughter Rose earlier this year when they attended Camp for Courageous Kids here in Kentucky. This summer, Soft had an amazing panel of doctors and at the annual conference that they do. And Dr. Hamill lectured on trisomy 13 and 18, as well as his panel of doctors. And the Stella Effect had the honor of partnering with Soft to live stream this event to everyone. This happened to fall right at the same time as our Camp for Courageous Kids, where we had 32 trisomy 13 and 18 families at a camp here in Kentucky. We invited all of the parents there to sit in on the live stream and had a place where we could all watch it together. This is one of my very favorite and most intimate parts of camp where we really got to know each other. We were sitting in a room with 6 other parents and hearing how the research and the advocacy from these doctors that we were watching on our screens, how they had touched each person's life in that room. I heard multiple times how Dr. Carey had changed the course of their child's life when he was willing to get on a phone call and help that parent navigate their child's medical care. I was sitting next to Rose and Mary during that live stream, listening to Dr. Hamill talk about his experience with our kids and his innovative perspective on heart surgery for children with trisomy 13 and 18. I was sitting next to this 7-year-old little girl who is now thriving with what some doctors consider a blanketed lethal diagnosis, who wouldn't have been at camp enjoying life with her family without Dr. Hamill and his willingness to do a heart surgery that other doctors wouldn't dare to do. Stella's story is so similar to Rose's, but with a different outcome. We were never able to find fair care at our local hospital. When we were seeking a place to deliver Stella, I had heard of other families getting the heart surgeries they needed from Dr. Hamill. I had heard of Rose and how well she was doing. We were trying to get to Omaha so Dr. Hamill could give Stella the life-saving surgery she needed. At the time, they weren't accepting patients prenatally anymore because Dr. Hamill was working his hardest to get other hospitals from around the country, and he still is, to do surgeries for our kids. We ended up at Cincinnati Children's, and we had a wonderful experience there. So I want to preface anything I say. I'm not saying anything bad about Cincy Children's. We actually had an amazing experience there. We did plan to transfer to Omaha if needed, if we couldn't get the surgery at Cincinnati Children's. And Cincinnati is, in their own right, really leading the way for trisomy 13 and 18. Stella was delivered at Cincinnati, where we received fantastic care, which was such a stark difference from the discrimination we faced in our hometown at our hospital here. She lived for 39 beautiful days where we got to know her, make memories with her, and really celebrate her life. She was treated with dignity and love and care. A few weeks into her life, we started to see a decline and change in her heart function. We contacted Omaha, and at that time, everything flowed through Dr. Hamill's assistant. We were already on their radar, and his assistant said Dr. Hamill would have already done her surgery. So we started the process of either getting to Omaha or asking Dr. Hamill to basically talk our doctors at Cincinnati Children's into doing the surgery based on his experience with doing earlier surgeries than what has been done prior. I have so much peace with Stella's outcome, and we are so thankful to the Cincinnati Children's Hospital for the care we received. But it was a potent moment for me sitting next to Rose at camp, who is here because of the innovative and compassionate care she received from this man who we were all watching together on the screen, really learning about my child's heart and her child's heart. And Stella isn't here because she didn't receive that same surgery. She didn't receive that same care. That's why all this matters. And it matters because it's not just my story and it's not just Rose's story. It is so many of our stories. So many of us are seeking innovative care and doctors being willing to go that next step and being willing to care for our children in a way that research has backed. The care we receive matters. I believe doctors at Cincinnati were working from the framing of the most current information they had, while another doctor somewhere else was paving the way for our kids. And because of that, Rose is here, which I am so, so, so grateful for. Meeting her was one of the biggest treats of my entire life. Thank you to Mary for sharing Rose with us. Rose thriving and living this beautiful life is a testament to where we are headed. Her life is an agent of change for all of the kids who are coming after her, just like Stella's life is an agent of change because of how she changed me and everyone she touched. And I would, that's my story and Stella's story and why advocacy and awareness is so important. But Allison has her own story, and we would love to hear about Charlotte. And while she does that, we know that this subject of advocacy in our stories is so important. We'd love for any trisomy families here today to share in the chat why awareness and advocacy is important to you.
Thank you for sharing Stella's story. For me, Chelsea and Stella have been so, so important to my story and with our daughter, Charlotte Grace. She was diagnosed with trisomy 13 at 16 weeks gestation. We were hit with like all the grim stats, the myriad of potential birth defects, and the term incompatible with life before the doctors ever even took a look at her anatomy scans and what was going on with her as like an individual. And I think that is a really important thing Dr. Carey brought up, treating the children and their as individuals with the complications that they specifically present instead of the blanket diagnosis. That news and the way it was originally delivered, I won't go into all of that, was devastating. So much is just out of control. And I do not do very well with things being out of control. And being given a life limiting diagnosis for your baby, I mean, there's no other way to say it. It just plain sucks. Like more than words could even describe. And then to me, why advocacy and awareness is so important is you are hit with this thing, and then it's on you as a parent in so many ways. And we'll hear some more stories about that from other families soon. In so many ways, it's the burden seems to fall on the parents to advocate, to make the decisions, to figure the things out. I'm so lucky to have found Chelsea and so many of the other mothers here in this community, in my deep rabbit hole of those Google searches and the figuring things out, who have been incredibly supportive in this journey. They armed me with the questions to ask our medical team so that we finally felt supported. The hope that there may actually be a life for her on the outside and a cause to celebrate her exactly as she is. They were some of the biggest cheerleaders for her in her short life, and since her death, have been a ongoing support system. I think again the advocacy piece, we need more of that, and that's where that comes in. I like to say that our Charlotte was a fighter. After her initial diagnosis, medically over the remaining months of pregnancy, her prognosis continued to improve. She grew strong, measuring near 50th percentile at birth. Her abnormalities in her brain, heart, and kidneys, bladder all continued to trend closer and closer to normal with each scan. She was born breathing and fully alive and began to defy every statistic we were given. We were beginning occupational therapy for her hands and feet and discussing ways to improve her quality of life when we were just a few months before told she was incompatible with life. We were prepared for so many different fights. After her birth, except for the one we found ourselves in. It really felt like it came out of the blue. On day 4 of her life, an very unexpected infection hit us. She had necrotizing enterocolitis, which statistically tends to only affect, not only, but more likely to affect premature babies in the NICU. It wasn't something that was really on our radar because of that. We don't know for sure that, but it's highly likely that her complications from trisomy 13 made her more susceptible to it. But I have trouble not believing that had that infection not happened, there's a really good chance she would still be with us here today. And this is a really hard road for me to go down mentally, because wondering if we knew more, if we could have done things differently, if these teams of medical professionals were more educated in all the things that can happen with our babies, things would be different. There's so much more to know and so much more to understand about our babies. And I think this is why spreading knowledge and awareness is so important. Um, that's all I have to share about her story
Allison,
so far.
I really appreciate how vulnerable you are when you share this, because I know that a lot of people are feeling what you feel. And a lot of people, whether our babies die or not, there's always this question of if we had done this and could they have had a better quality of life, or would they still be here with us? And so I imagine that every single person in this race listening in can really relate to so much of what you're saying. I know that I can. And you have advocated so hard for Charlotte, and it is just such a big part of who you are. And it comes through as just like the love that you have for your daughter. And so I know that I personally appreciate you sharing. Um, and Charlotte has changed my life in such a beautiful way. And she's changing so many lives, even here in this race. So many people who are doing this race and in this chat and with us today are going to get to go to camp, or going to get a birthday, or maybe one day they'll need help financially moving for fair care because of Charlotte, because of the money that you are raising and your love for Charlotte. She's making such a big difference. Um, and I saw that in the chat, Alicia said that she's running for our son Xander, who's a 2-month-old today. In the background, there we go, at Mott's University Hospital, where our son is currently in the NICU. We are so thankful for this hospital and the care they have given us prenatally, and now with Xander here. So thank you so much for sharing about Xander and Mott's. That is so cool. And we appreciate their advocacy as well. And I think we're ready for some unofficial competition.
Yeah,
Allison, you want to talk about that?
let's lighten the heavy a little bit with a little bit of unofficial competition. So we mentioned this at the beginning. I'm just going to mention it again. We are going to do a prize. This one will be announced via email later on about uh, the biggest group picture. So if you're walking with a big group, snap a selfie of the big group, drop it in the chat. I will look back over those pictures at the end, and in our email later announce the winner of that prize, which will receive a Larry & Co. gift card to the next Stella Effect launch. Right now, let's announce some of the other prizes. So the biggest team based on registrations will also receive a gift card to the next Stella Effect apparel launch. And that team is Team Sadie Joe with 52 registrants on that team. Congratulations. Thank you so much for your support and putting the word out there and walking or running together. The team that raises the most funds will also win a prize, but the jury is still out on that one because we're keeping donations open for one more week following this race so we can continue to spread the awareness and raise more funds. Last prize I'm going to announce right now, and I don't even know who won this yet. I have a prize wheel I'm about to spin, is the winner of the $25 Amazon gift card for engaging in the chat before 10 a.m. today. This was really helpful for us on the technology side of it to make sure that you guys could get in the chat and engage with us before we went live. We were able to get some tech work out some tech issues. Of course, we had a few more, but we're all here now. Let's spin that wheel. Here we go. Spinning, 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 spinning. Uh, Curtis Miles is the winner of that gift card. I will again send out all of this information in an email, announce that Curtis was the winner again, and then Curtis, you can email me back and we can figure out how to get you that gift card. So now we're going to share a few more clips from Stella Effect families, again on that topic of fighting for fair care. The first one is from Phoenix's mom, Brooke.
Hey, my name is Brooke Fontenot. My daughter is Phoenix Fontenot. She is 5 years old and thriving with Mosaic Trisomy 18. We are fortunate to live in a city where there are 2 children's hospitals. And we were at the first hospital when I was pregnant all the way through 36 weeks of pregnancy. It became evident that the first hospital we were getting care at was not going to treat Phoenix fairly based on her trisomy diagnosis. They offered us nothing more than comfort care. I knew that I needed to switch hospitals to save my daughter's life, so I was fortunate enough to change OBs late in my pregnancy to Texas Children's Hospital, where ultimately our OB delivered her safely, and the NICU 4 was equipped to tend to all of her needs. I find it disheartening that an institution such as the hospital that I speak of can do such a thing. I think it's unethical. And I look forward to the day where no other family has to face the challenges that we faced. Phoenix brings an abundance of joy to our home. That's not to negate the fact that things can get difficult, but overall, Phoenix is joyful. She's happy.
There we go. Sorry.
She only cries if there is an issue. She just doesn't cry just to cry. But my favorite thing about Phoenix is her scent. When I'm having a bad day, I'll just go sit in her room with her, hold her, and just sniff on her. And it's just like aromatherapy to me. Everybody she comes in contact with smiles and just enjoys her presence. And she's a total rock star at school. Her teachers love her. When she was going to brick and mortar school, her peers loved her. So she's just an abundance of love.
How cool is it that Phoenix was in school and everyone loves her? Like going from a hospital who wouldn't do surgery for Phoenix to that is amazing. I love this family. They are one of the Stella Effect families. We did a birthday for them that was Princess and the Frog themed, which was really fun. And we had a surprise Tiana visit who came and sang to Phoenix. And anyway, we are just so thankful for the Fontenot and everything that they do for our community. And also, they're just wonderful people who I love so much. Our next clip is Samuel's parents, and they're going to be talking about their experience with seeking care for him and advocating for him and having to make hard decisions. And I want to say before we start this clip that Samuel's celebration of life is today. He passed away recently. And so my heart is with them today and has been with them since Samuel was born, but really lately, especially. So if anyone could just send some love their way, if you're listening, and pray for their family as they go through this hard day and moving forward, even harder days. We're all thinking about you all today.
Samuel was born with full trisomy 13 on March 11th, 2023. Like most of our community, we were told to expect very little time with our son. Instead, we were blessed with the most amazing 17 months with our sweet boy. In many ways, he was like any other baby. He loved to snuggle with his mommy and daddy. He loved playing with his toys. He loved to swim, and he was constantly laughing and smiling. He was the happiest boy and was always up for an adventure. He loved to travel, but also loved being at home, rolling all over the house.
Samuel's journey consisted of many challenges, but was always full of love. He underwent a total of 13 surgeries for a variety of reasons. Our biggest struggle was with his kidneys, and he had multiple surgeries and procedures to address these concerns. The vast majority of his care was provided by St. Louis Children's Hospital. However, we often traveled to Arkansas Children's and Cincinnati Children's Hospitals for care. Samuel had nearly made it a full year without having hospitalization when he became ill in early August of this year, and our boy was called home to his forever home on August 6th. Throughout Samuel's journey, we found that we had to advocate extremely hard for him. We were blessed to have received fair, quality care during our journey. However, we were constantly faced with challenges and decisions regarding care options. For Samuel, we took the approach that we wanted to do anything and everything possible to improve his quality of life. We wanted any surgeries, procedures, or medications to be for him rather than to him, and we kept our goals of quality. We found that by repeating our wishes to our many healthcare providers, we were able to keep everyone on the same page and focus on improving Samuel's quality of life.
The Stella Effect has supported us throughout our journey, especially with Samuel's first birthday party. The organization helped throw Samuel an unforgettable first birthday party, including reserving the facility, providing the cake, and setting up a professional photographer to provide memories that will last a lifetime. He had such a fun time celebrating and tasting cake for the first time. We are so blessed to have celebrated a birthday with Samuel, and we are extremely thankful for the contributions from the Stella Effect.
Thank you so much to Samuel's parents for sharing all about him. If you all could go stalk their Instagram, I'm telling you, he is one of the most beautiful babies I've ever seen. His smile is contagious. Like, he is just so happy. And seeing his birthday pictures, we were able to be a part of their birthday, and seeing his birthday pictures from this last year, I think he fell asleep maybe in the cake. I don't know. I think that's the story, but he has cake all over him, and he just looks like he's like sleeping with cake in front of him. And he is so missed and so loved. And we are all thinking about you all today, and we'll continue to pray for you all.
What Chelsea said about Samuel's smile is absolutely true. Like his face just like lights up the world. And again, yeah, thank you so much for sharing his story with us. Listening to those stories for me highlights again why this education, advocacy, and the education and advocacy. I can't say that right now. That soft provides and that we're doing here is so important. Like all parents and know this, all parenting comes with this immense responsibility and decision making about little things every single day. Parenting a medically complex child adds so much to that. And I like to think that the more we continue to do this work, to share and to educate and advocate, it just takes a little bit of this weight off and allows more space to be present with joy and with love. And with that in mind, I want to transition our conversation to more of that. At the end of that clip, and you heard Chelsea mention some birthdays in camp a little bit, they talked about Samuel's first birthday party in that clip. In a bit, I'm going to have Chelsea share all of what the Stella Effect has been able to do for families over the past few years, including some of these opportunities for celebration. Before we do that, I know we are kind of past halfway through this live event, so a lot of people who are running and racing will have finished by now. When you're finished, I want you to snap your most creative post-run selfie. A jumping picture is always in the running for the winner. And after the event, we will choose the most creative selfie, and you will win a pair of the OG Gooder sunglasses of your choice. As a reminder, we're all walking and running today to raise awareness for trisomy 13 and 18, and also to raise funds for the Stella Effect. And Chelsea's now going to share a little bit of what the Stella Effect does with those funds.
So we started the Stella Effect in 2021 with a mission to support families through community, education, advocacy, and celebration. Everything we do is because of what we learned from Stella. Many of our programs really encompass all of these, like this race, for example. We are here celebrating our kids, being in community and advocating and educating. The education awareness part of what we do is so important and shows up in many of our programs, from partnering with SOFT to bring their doctors panel live to everyone, to our online presence during Trisomy Awareness Month and helping others share about their children more easily, to assisting families financially, moving for fair care, as well as connecting them to other parents and organizations to help them advocate for their child. We spent a lot of our time celebrating Stella during her life, and we believe in the power of celebration. That's why we celebrate the birthdays of our living kids and our angel children. We had our first birthday at the end of 2021, and since then, we have celebrated 39 birthdays total. We truly believe that celebrating our kids and finding joy in their lives, no matter what, is one of our greatest forms of advocacy that we can do. So we have a clip from Mary, Rose's mom, and she is going to share with us the birthday that we did for Rose's fifth birthday.
Able to have her fifth birthday party thrown by the Stella Effect. We had the most fabulous birthday ever. We went to Sesame Place, and all the little details that I never would have even thought of made the day incredible. We still are on cloud nine over that day. We feel like rock stars, movie stars, just so special. We were able to share Rosie that day with all the staff, those around us, and we continue to do so with beautiful pictures and memories. I want to thank the Stella Effect for celebrating her like the amazing, beautiful girl she is and honoring her life. It meant so much to us, and it was wonderful. We want to thank you, thank you, thank you, and we look forward to helping contribute so others can enjoy birthdays like Rosie did.
Thank you, Mary, so much for sharing about Rosie's birthday. I mean, these pictures are so awesome. Mary, if you can put a couple of those into the chat just so everyone can share in this joy. It was so fun seeing her dancing with all of the different Sesame Street characters, with Elmo and everyone, Cookie Monster. It was just such a special birthday, and she exudes joy. The whole family does, but I love seeing Rose's smile. So on to our next program. I want to talk a little bit about camp. One of our most cherished programs is our so far annual Camp for Courageous Kids. We have to be invited back every year, but we'll do it annually if we can. This is a medically inclusive camp that brings together families from all over the world. We had our second camp this summer and are thrilled that we've been able to send 46 trisomy families from all over the country and even Canada to camp. 2 families from Canada, actually. My favorite part of this last year was getting to send 5 angel families and 3 angel grandparents to camp. Seeing our entire community together, no matter what our stories are, getting to see them interact and connect and share their experiences was truly heartwarming. Mary and Rose and her family were also at camp, and we're going to hear from her about that experience.
Oh, this summer we were able to attend a family camp. Thanks to the Stella Effect, we were able to attend a camp at the Center for Courageous Kids. It was a wonderful experience. Our children and us got to have time to play, laugh, and meet other families like us. It was wonderful to be able to have that inclusion, celebrate Rosie, but also her siblings. Our whole family had a chance to dance, laugh, sing, play, and just enjoy life, celebrate life. And it was such an extra special piece that it was their sister Rosie that led us to this really fun experience. With rare trisomy, a lot of times our family might have to face a few separations or critical situations, or we have our past traumas and some harder days. To be able to travel to a camp and experience all the fun, all the support, and all the resources that were there, and everybody celebrate children and families with rare trisomy, it meant the world to us. I cannot thank Stella Effect enough. This was in fact a life-changing event for my whole family. Thank you. Hello,
Thank you so much to Mary for sharing about camp. It was so cool.
I just loved watching the stories from camp, and the knowing that the funds raised from this very event last year were a large part of what made it all possible is such an incredible feeling. So if you're here listening now, know that you are a huge part of what is making things like this possible. I know there are a lot of people directly affected by trisomy 13 and 18 here, whether it's your family or friends, neighbors. My friends and neighbors are, and family are joining along. And this race serves as a wonderful community building event for our families. But there's also a good number of runners, many athletes that I coach, but also many that I don't even know personally, just found me on the internet showing up here today for our babies from around the world. And that is a really wonderful thing. So thank you all.
So next we have Amanda is the Stella Effect's new chairperson and Riley's mom, and she's going to share about Riley's life. And we are so thankful to Amanda. And her this clip is really beautiful and emotional. So I hope everyone can take a moment and listen in.
Hi, my name is Amanda Gilmore, and I'm the mom to Riley Marie Gilmore, aka Riley Bear, as we call her. Riley was born on May 6th, 2020, and lived for 117 beautiful days with full trisomy 13. She was diagnosed prenatally when I was about 16 weeks pregnant, and like many of you here, we were filled with so much anticipatory grief while trying to navigate through our options. There was never any doubt in our minds about whether or not to continue with the pregnancy, but we wanted to learn more about Riley so that we could make decisions on her care after birth. We felt very lucky with most of the care that we received. Our main perinatologist was very respectful and proactive in getting us the referrals that we needed, which I later learned is not the norm in our trisomy community, and that just baffled me. Even with his support, though, we did hear some comments like, "Is it worth it?" Or "You could be jeopardizing your reproductive career." And in both cases, we proved those doctors wrong, one of which actually told me so. When Riley was born, she was breathing on her own and even came out crying. She was able to be with me in my recovery room for a few hours before we transferred her to the NICU with the goal to stabilize her in order to bring her home. We were in the NICU for 3 weeks and talked about our goals for her life, which at the time felt so incredibly heavy because a lot of our goals were some of the most basic things in life. Things like meet her family, go outside, things and people we loved that we wanted her to know. We were grateful to the NICU team for helping us achieve those goals during our NICU stay, especially during the early pandemic when things were limited. And we also made a lot of memories together watching one of my favorite movies, Tangled, and singing and dancing with her. When we brought her home, it was equally exciting and so nerve-wracking. But in time, we found our groove and gained some confidence. We learned that Riley loved being outside, and we took her on many, many walks around the neighborhood. A neighbor even shouted out to us once, "You two sure take that baby on walks a lot." And we did. She loved it. And we were so happy that one of our wildest dreams came true when we got to bring her to our family cabin in the mountains. We were nervous to leave the comfort of being close to our hospital, but those were actually her easiest days because she was so content. I'm just so glad we did that. It was a huge deal. Riley was also known for wearing her little donut hat and loving donuts while I was pregnant. Her best friend was her unicorn pacifier that we named Fluffy, and they were inseparable. There were shows, movies, and songs that remind us of our time with her, especially anything from Taylor Swift, because she was always so happy when she came on. And a lot of people actually refer to her as like the most cozy baby that they'd ever seen, even if it was just in photos. Of course, with all of those happy moments, though, came a lot of complications within her body, things that were really hard to navigate. And I won't go into all of the details of her specific complications, but what we learned from all of that is that even through everything that she faced, she found joy in life and she fought to be here. And those are like messages that I cling to every single day. When it was time for her to leave us here on earth, her death was equal parts gut-wrenching, but also like one of the most beautiful days of my life too. It's like we knew she was okay and that she was healed and she was safe with God. I felt God in the room. We all did. We actually didn't know what to expect that day, and we were home, and we had called all of our parents, so her grandparents, and they all came, and she, died within about 5 or 10 minutes of them showing up. And it's just, things like that don't just happen. And so it was all just so beautiful and hard and everything. Nothing can prepare you for a moment like that when they go. But if you were to ask me if I'd do it again, I would. I would always rather have a life with Riley, and even if that means that I carry immense grief now, I would always choose that over not having her in my life at all. We're all here today to celebrate the beautiful lives of our babies. They're worthy of love and celebration and really worthy of everything we want for them. I firmly believe that decisions parents make are made with love, and whether they choose full interventions, comfort care, or somewhere in between, it's all made from love. And what I advocate for is information specific to the baby with options for the parents. I expect respect and understanding that our babies are real and they are so deeply loved. And that's why, even after 4 years since Riley's death, I've stayed involved with this community. It's why I believe in what the Stella Effect is doing to support, advocate, celebrate, and build community among us all. It's important work, and I plan to always honor Riley's life by advocating for all of our babies. So I'm so glad that you're all here, and thank you so much for letting me share about Riley.
Just hearing Amanda talk about Riley, you can hear her love that she has for not only Riley, but for all of our kids, and her dedication to making this world better for all of our children with trisomy 13 and 18. We are so thankful to have Amanda as our chairperson at the Stella Effect, and everything she's going to continue to do in Riley's name.
Yes, thank you, Amanda, for sharing. I just love hearing Riley's story. Riley and Amanda were another family that has been so important to me through our whole journey here. Amanda's right, like even just in pictures, like the cuddliest baby you have ever seen.
Yes.
And I think of her often, especially when we go get donuts before school. We tend to do once a week, and Riley is on my mind every time. The way that all these moms like Amanda show up for this community with so much love, even through so much pain, is an incredible thing to witness. I just want to take a minute to acknowledge that all these stories matter. Whether you got years, like some of the stories we heard, 17 months, 117 days, 39 days, 6 days, 5 hours and 9 minutes, 2 hours, 78 minutes. That love is there and will always be a huge part of all of it, all of us. And I love that we have this space to share it together. I know that Amanda and Chelsea and all the other members of the Cell Effect board are serving this community with so much love. So thank you for that work that you're doing.
I want to thank everyone here who is a part of this race year after year. It is so special to see people come back and enjoy it. We need to thank the Run the Day app and everything they've done to make this possible. And Allison, everyone owes you such a special thank you. I see that Rebecca said running in Colorado in memory of Samuel. Thank you for organizing another great race. It's one of my favorites each year, and I agree so strongly. This is one of my favorite days of the year, every single year. It is so special what you're doing, and we're about to learn what we've raised all together. But Allison, you've poured your heart into this. Even when you were pregnant with Charlotte in your belly, you started this race. And then the next year, she had passed away, and you still did this race. And now 2 years, which the 2 year mark was harder for me than the 1 year mark, you're still doing this and you're advocating. And, I'm seeing you get emotional, because I can see you right now and no one else can see you, but I'm seeing you get emotional and how much love you have for Charlotte and how she's changed your life. And Charlotte's effect on this world is just shining through you. And there are so many people in this race today who are going to benefit from her life and all of the work that you do and all of your heart that you pour into this. So thank you to you, and thank you to Charlotte.
Thank you for that. It's been a definite labor of love with I won't say blood, but sweat and tears for sure, over the past years and just days putting the final touches on this. It is filled with a lot of emotion, and it's hard, but also beautiful. And I want to thank all of you who are here with us, running or walking today, for being part of this journey as well, for spreading awareness for trisomy 13 and 18, for your support of the Stella Effect. Thanks to you through the $15 for each registration and the many other direct donations we've collected a little over $12,400 so far. And those dollars, as you heard, will go directly towards supporting families of trisomy 13 and 18 through the Stella Effect. We're about to wrap up in just a few minutes. Just, some housekeeping things and a few more thank yous. To go. So this a reminder, the recording and the link to submit your run times will be sent via email later today. Along with that email, we will announce the remaining prizes, which is the biggest group picture, the most creative post-run selfie, and those will be announced via that same email. We will keep the donations open, however, for one more week after the race on the race website. So if you haven't yet and or want to give a little bit more, click the donate button at the top of that race page. I will post the link here in the chat again here shortly. We'll resend the email again with that link. And one more thing we want to do to continue to spread this awareness is to share your experience today. So I encourage you, invite you to post a picture or a story or a video to social media with the hashtag compatible with life 5K, and a little something about your experience today, something maybe you learned or something that really struck a chord with you, to help us continue to raise awareness and raise funds. We will do one more drawing related to that. So everyone who post something to social with that hashtag and tags either me or the Stella Effect will be entered to win one more drawing for a gift card to the next Stella Effect launch. So post your pictures, videos, tag us. We'll put all the names in a hat by the end of the week, and send that prize. So we'll hold the prize for most funds raised by a team until then, and announce that along with the male and female race winners next weekend. We cannot end without thanking Shelby for being a wonderful cheerleader of this event the past couple of years. She was paired with us via a different app that we used the first year we ran this race, and has volunteered her time and her energy to us for the past 2 years as well. We cannot thank her enough for that. Thank you, Alex, for being my sister, for being our behind the scenes woman and helping us just make sure you can hear us throughout. Thank you guys for bearing with us at the beginning with those tech issues. And I can't end without thanking Ian Campbell and the team at Run the Day app for making this platform happen. Last year, they basically made this app. They had the app already, but made it the capability of this app to have live streaming just so that we could do this race and continue to support us in that. This year, we could not have put that on without you. So thank you all.